Stop waiting. The moment you hear these words, your destiny demands an answer. You have tolerated scattered effort, bright bursts, long lulls, while the life you want decays in slow increments. That pain is not punishment, it is consequence. Force yourself to stay consistent, for consistency is a stubborn ritual that reshapes habit into character and character into destiny. For decades, I studied the few who inverted fate. They practiced a quiet, sacred relentlessness, as if God had given them a small command, and they obeyed it daily. Begin tonight. Make one chain link and never break it, and your entire life will transform. Decide once, enforce daily. The law that turns discipline into dominion begins with a single choice that refuses retreat. Most men wait for inspiration to strike, for circumstances to align, for the perfect moment to commit. But the man who commands his life understands this fundamental truth. Consistency is will institutionalized, not talent unleashed. Movement I, the foundation that cannot bend. If your purpose wavers, your efforts scatter. If your aim shifts daily, your energy bleeds into noise. The first law of consistency is this: you cannot force what you do not define. The mind requires a target to sustain effort. The subconscious demands clear instruction to maintain rhythm. Without a definite chief aim, your discipline becomes mere repetition without direction, movement without meaning. Andrew Carnegie understood this principle when he built his steel empire. Each morning, he reviewed his written objectives, not because he had forgotten them, but because repetition carved them deeper into his consciousness. His purpose was not simply to make money, it was to organize steel production more efficiently than any man before him. This specific aim guided every decision, every hire, every system he constructed. His consistency was not born of willpower alone, but of clarity that made every action meaningful. You must now establish your foundation. Write your definite chief aim in 25 words or less, not what you hope to accomplish, but what you are committed to achieving. Make it specific, measurable, and bound by time. This is not a wish. It is a law you will obey. Speak this declaration: I command my morning commands my day. My purpose is written, my path is clear, my consistency is law. Read your aim before every significant action. Let it filter your choices, guide your energy, and remind you why today's discipline matters. But purpose without action remains fantasy. The bridge between intention and transformation is built through the sacred discipline of repetition. Movement 2. The compound power of small obedience. Every master was first a servant to small actions. Every fortune began with pennies. Every empire started with a single brick laid with precision. The second law of consistency is this: repetition, however small, compounds into ownership when performed with deliberate intention. Thomas Edison did not invent the light bulb through one brilliant flash of insight. He created it through 10,000 small experiments, each one performed with the same methodical precision. His laboratory was not a place of inspiration, it was a factory of repetition. Each day he tested, measured, adjusted, and tested again. His genius was not in the thinking, but in the unwavering commitment to show up, even when the previous day had ended in failure. The poor man believes in grand gestures. The rich man believes in small, repeated actions that build systems. One dreams of the mountain, the other climbs it one step at a time, recording each step, measuring each gain, improving each process. Here is your command. Identify the smallest action that moves you toward your definite chief aim. Not the most impressive action, not the most comfortable action, but the most essential one. This becomes your daily minimum, the non-negotiable act you perform regardless of mood, weather, or circumstance. Execute this minimum action for 25 minutes each morning before the world makes demands on your attention. Set a timer. Eliminate distractions. Work with focus until the timer sounds. Then record one line about what you accomplished. This is not merely work. This is evidence that you are becoming the man your purpose requires. Declare aloud: I use my mind, not just my time. Every day I act in obedience. Every day I prove who I am. Small actions, repeated daily, become the foundation of mastery. But individual discipline without environmental support remains fragile. The wise man does not rely on willpower alone. He constructs conditions that make consistency inevitable. Movement 3, the architecture of inevitable action. Your environment is not neutral. It either supports your consistency or sabotages it. Your associations either elevate your standards or lower them. The third law of consistency is this: you cannot sustain high performance in low conditions. The man who would build lasting discipline must first build the context that sustains it. Henry Ford revolutionized manufacturing not merely through individual effort, but through systematic environmental design. His assembly line was not just efficient, it was inevitable. Each worker had one task, one station, one rhythm. The environment itself enforced consistency. The system made excellence the path of least resistance. You must apply this principle to your own life. Examine your physical space, your daily routine, your social circle. What supports your aim? What undermines it? The weak man hopes to overcome his environment through willpower. The wise man redesigns his environment to make discipline automatic. Choose 3 people who elevate your standard of action. These become your mastermind alliance, individuals who speak the language of completion, who act with purpose, who measure their days by results rather than effort. Meet with them regularly. Share your progress. Hold each other accountable to the law of consistent action. Configure one space in your domain that serves only your definite chief aim. Remove distractions. Add tools that support your work. Make this space so conducive to focused action that sitting in it naturally elevates your performance. This is your sacred ground, the place where your daily minimum becomes inevitable. Establish one non-negotiable time block each day when you are unavailable to the world, but fully available to your purpose. Protect this time as you would protect your life, because it is your life. It is the time when you become the man your aim requires. Affirm with power: I move first. I finish what I start. I sow understanding and reap gold. My environment serves my consistency. My consistency serves my destiny. Environment shapes behavior, but measurement shapes results. Without the discipline of tracking, your efforts remain invisible, your progress unmeasurable, your adjustments impossible. Movement IV, the mirror that reveals truth. What you do not measure, you cannot manage. What you cannot manage, you cannot multiply. The fourth law of consistency is this: discipline without measurement is motion without direction. The successful man does not simply act today. He acts with awareness, tracks his performance, and adjusts his approach based on evidence, not emotion. John D. Rockefeller built his oil empire through meticulous attention to details that others ignored. He measured everything: costs per barrel, efficiency of each operation, return on every investment. His ledgers were not merely record-keeping, they were strategic intelligence. They revealed patterns invisible to the naked eye and opportunities hidden from casual observation. Every evening, he reviewed the day's performance, not to criticize himself, but to understand what worked, what didn't, and what needed adjustment. This practice of daily audit transformed scattered efforts into systematic progress. His consistency was not accidental, it was engineered through measurement and refinement. You must now become the architect of your own accountability. Each day, record 5 lines about your performance: what you completed, what you learned, what you will adjust tomorrow. This is not busy work, this is the intelligence gathering that separates the successful from the merely busy. Every Friday evening, conduct a 10-minute weekly audit. Review your daily records, identify patterns, celebrate victories, acknowledge failures without dwelling on them. Make one specific adjustment for the coming week. Cut one activity that produces no measurable progress toward your aim. Every 2 weeks, examine your systems themselves. Are your daily minimums still challenging you? Are your environment and associations still elevating your performance? Are your measurements revealing the truth about your progress? Adjust what needs adjusting. Eliminate what needs eliminating. Add what needs adding. Speak this law. Identity precedes evidence. Evidence follows obedience. Each day I meet the law. Each day I act in ownership. I measure my progress. I adjust my approach. I multiply my results. Measurement reveals the truth, but decision makes the truth irreversible. The man who would guarantee his transformation must burn the bridges that lead back to his former self. Movement V, the decision that eliminates. Retreat commitment with escape routes is not commitment, it is contingency planning. The fifth law of consistency is this. True discipline is born only when the possibility of abandonment is removed. The man who keeps options open keeps his power divided. The man who burns his bridges finds strength he never knew he possessed. When Abraham Lincoln accepted the nomination for president, he understood that half measures would not preserve the Union. He could not save the nation while preserving his own comfort, his own safety, his own popularity. The decision to lead required the abandonment of lesser concerns. He burned the bridge to anonymity, to safety, to the approval of all men, and in that burning, he found the courage to make decisions that preserved a nation. Your consistency will remain fragile until you make it irreversible. You must identify one route of escape that you use when discipline becomes difficult, and you must close it permanently. This is not reckless, this is strategic. It is the creation of conditions that make excellence your only option. If your aim requires morning discipline, remove the option of sleeping past your chosen hour. Give your alarm clock to someone else with instructions not to return it until you have completed 30 consecutive days of rising on time. If your aim requires focused work, remove the applications that distract you from your devices. If your aim requires physical fitness, prepay for 3 months of training with a professional who will hold you accountable. The weak man fears commitment because he fears failure. The wise man embraces commitment because he understands that the fear of consequences is the beginning of discipline. Make the cost of abandoning your consistency greater than the cost of maintaining it. Declare publicly your commitment to your definite chief aim. Share it with your mastermind alliance. Post it where others can see it. Create witnesses to your intention. When retreat becomes public failure, advancement becomes the path of least resistance. Command yourself with these words: I build systems that outwork my hours. I decide once and reinforce daily. I will not wait for courage. I move and courage meets me. I am sent, I obey, I finish. With purpose defined, repetition established, environment designed, measurement implemented, and bridges burned, you are ready for the daily ritual that transforms knowledge into power. Movement VI, the mirror lines, and the 306090 transformation ritual. Stay through movement 6 there. I will hand you the 11 mirror lines and the full 306090 ritual, word for word, so you can begin tomorrow before the world wakes. Every morning before the world speaks, you will stand before a mirror and speak 11 declarations that program your subconscious mind for consistent action. This is not positive thinking. This is identity engineering. Each line is repeated 3 times with full vocal power while maintaining eye contact with yourself. The entire sequence takes 15 minutes and rewrites your inner programming. Stand tall. Look yourself in the eyes. Speak with authority. These are your 11 mirror lines. I command my morning. My morning commands my day. I use my mind, not just my time. I move first. I finish what I start. Identity precedes evidence. Evidence follows obedience. I build systems that outwork my hours. Gold follows understanding. Outcomes follow order. I decide once and reinforce daily. I am sent. I obey. I finish. I speak law into my day and collect proof before noon. I will not wait for courage. I move and courage meets me. I sow understanding and reap gold. Repeat each line 3 times with increasing intensity. Feel the words reshape your inner conviction. After speaking all 11 lines, stand in complete silence for 5 minutes. Let the declarations settle into your consciousness. This silence is not emptiness, it is the space where new identity takes root. After the mirror ritual, execute your daily minimum work block, 25 minutes of focused action on your definite chief aim. No interruptions, no compromises. Set a timer and work until it sounds. When the timer stops, record one line about what you accomplished. This record becomes the evidence of your transformation. Your 306090 transformation cycle operates like this. The first 30 days, you implement the mirror ritual and daily minimum without deviation. Your only goal is consistency, not perfection. Count consecutive days. Record your count each evening. If you miss a flat to perfection day, restart the count. The metric that matters is consecutive days completed divided by 30. During days 31 through 60, you consolidate the ritual while adding weekly audits every Friday evening. Review your daily records. Identify what is working. Adjust what is not. Create one new microsystem each week, a small process that saves you time or increases your effectiveness. By day 60, you should have 4 microsystems working for you automatically. Days 61 through 90, you transform these practices into permanent ownership. You no longer count days because consistency has become your identity. You no longer force discipline because discipline has become your nature. You evaluate your systems monthly and improve them quarterly. What began as effort becomes effortless operation. Your daily proof metrics to track: percentage of actions completed before 5 p.m., target 70% or higher. Strategic silence, hours per week, target 3 to 5 hours of uninterrupted focus time. Mastermind sessions per month, minimum 3, with 80% of discussed tasks completed. Systems created per week during your consolidation phase, minimum, one that measurably saves time or increases output. Record these measurements in a simple daily log. 3 lines maximum. What you measure multiplies. What you ignore disappears. Now address the common obstacles before they arise. What if I fail again? Then you fail forward. Law first, action next, evidence last. Keep the order. What if I feel nothing? Feelings follow movement. Obedience creates momentum. What if people criticize me? Critics do not carry your law. You do move. What if results are slow? Order compounds, water the seed daily and audit weekly. What if I lose a day? Reset before noon, collect one proof and rebuild the chain. What if fear returns? Name it, breathe once, speak the line, act within 60 seconds. You now possess the architecture of transformation, not theory, but practice, not inspiration, but instruction. Closing movement. The architect of repetition. You have heard the law. You have received the ritual. You have been given the measurements and the timelines. What remains is the decision that separates the listener from the practitioner, the learner from the owner, the dreamer from the builder. Consistency is not a talent you are born with. It is a skill you forge through daily obedience to simple laws. It is not dependent on motivation, which fades, or inspiration, which is intermittent. It is dependent on systems, which multiply, and identity, which endures. The man who commits to 30 days of mirror lines and daily minimums will discover something profound. He is more powerful than he believed, more capable than he imagined, more consistent than he ever dreamed possible. But only if he begins, only if he commits, only if he measures, only if he continues when the initial excitement fades, and only the law remains. I am the architect of my repetition. I command my discipline. I choose the path that transforms. I do not wait for freedom. I build it now. I speak law. I move now. I collect proof. This is my oath, witnessed by my future self, sealed by my present action. I will obey the law of consistency for 90 consecutive days. I will speak the mirror lines each morning. I will execute my daily minimum without compromise. I will measure my progress without excuse. I will adjust my approach based on evidence, not emotion. I will become the man my aim requires. Your next 24 hours will reveal whether you are a student of transformation or merely a consumer of information. In the next day, complete these 3 actions. Write your definite chief aim in 25 words or less. Execute one 25-minute focused work block on that aim. Share your commitment publicly with 3 people who will hold you accountable. The world does not reward intentions. It rewards consistent action applied with intelligence over time. You have been given the intelligence. You have been shown the action. Time is waiting for your decision. Move first. Stand ascent. Finish what you start. The mirror does not lie. It reflects precisely what you bring to it each morning. If you bring doubt, it shows you a doubter. If you bring commitment, it shows you a commander. The second phase of your transformation begins where comfort ends in the systematic reconstruction of your daily identity through deliberate practice. You have established your foundation. You have written your definite chief aim. You have committed to the mirror ritual and daily minimum. Now comes the deeper work, the transformation of scattered efforts into systematic power, the elevation of good intentions into guaranteed results, the conversion of temporary discipline into permanent character. Movement 7, the system that thinks for you. Individual discipline is admirable but exhausting. Personal willpower is powerful but finite. The man who relies only on his own strength will eventually falter when that strength fails. But the man who builds systems transcends the limitations of individual effort. His systems think for him, work for him, and produce results even when he is not at his best. This is the advanced law of consistency. You must evolve from forcing discipline to engineering inevitability. Your goal is not to become a man of superhuman willpower, but to become a man whose environment, habits, and associations make excellence the path of least resistance. Consider the transformation of Charles M. Schwab, who rose from a surveyor's assistant to president of Carnegie Steel. Schwab did not rely on daily motivation to maintain his performance. Instead, he created systems of accountability that made consistent high performance inevitable. Each morning, he reviewed written reports from every department. Each evening, he recorded specific observations about the day's progress. Each week, he met with department heads to analyze patterns and eliminate inefficiencies. These were not bureaucratic exercises. They were systematic applications of the law that what gets measured gets managed, and what gets managed gets multiplied. Schwab's genius was not in working harder than other men, but in creating structures that made his efforts compound rather than merely accumulate. You must now examine your own approach to consistency. Are you forcing discipline through willpower alone, or are you engineering systems that make discipline automatic? The man who forces will eventually tire. The man who engineers will eventually dominate. Create 3 microsystems this week. A microsystem is a small process that handles a recurring task automatically, saving time and mental energy for more important decisions. Examples: a morning routine so structured that you perform it without thinking. A workspace organized so efficiently that beginning work requires no preparation. A method of capturing ideas so simple that you never lose important insights. Each microsystem should save you at least 10 minutes per day while improving the quality of your output. Over the course of a year, 3 such systems will return over 100 hours to your control time that can be reinvested in advancing your definite chief aim. Affirm with conviction: I build systems that outwork my hours. Gold follows understanding. Outcomes follow order. My discipline becomes automatic when my systems become intelligent. Systems create consistency, but environment determines whether that consistency compounds into power or dissipates into maintenance. Movement 8, the electromagnetic field of excellence. You are not merely influenced by your environment, you are electromagnetic with it. Your thoughts, actions, and results exist in constant exchange with the conditions surrounding you. The man who hopes to maintain high performance in low conditions fights a battle he cannot win. The man who designs his conditions to support his aims harnesses forces that multiply his individual efforts. This law operates whether you acknowledge it or not. Your physical space affects your mental clarity. Your social associations affect your standards of performance. Your daily routines affect your energy levels and focus capacity. The question is not whether these forces are operating, the question is whether you are directing them toward your benefit or allowing them to work against you. John D. Rockefeller understood this principle when he designed his daily environment for maximum effectiveness. His office was arranged to eliminate distractions and facilitate deep thinking. His schedule was structured to handle routine decisions quickly, preserving mental energy for strategic choices. His associations were carefully selected to include only men who elevated his thinking and challenged his assumptions. These were not accidental preferences, they were strategic investments in environmental engineering. Rockefeller's consistency was not maintained through willpower alone, but through conditions that made inconsistency uncomfortable and excellence inevitable. Audit your environment with scientific precision. Your physical workspace, does it inspire focus or invite distraction? Your daily schedule, does it protect your most important work or scatter your attention across competing demands? Your information, diet, does it feed your growth or pollute your thinking with noise? Most critically, examine your social environment. The 5 people you spend the most time with determine the average of your ambition, your standards, and your results. If these 5 are not elevating your performance, they are limiting it. There is no neutral influence in human relationships. Form or join a mastermind alliance of individuals committed to high performance and mutual accountability. Meet weekly. Share progress on definite aims. Challenge each other's thinking. Celebrate victories and analyze failures. Without judgment. The power generated by minds united in common purpose exceeds the sum of individual efforts. Declare with authority, I sow understanding and reap gold. My environment serves my consistency. My consistency serves my destiny. I choose my associations as carefully as I choose my actions, because both determine my results. Environment shapes behavior, but measurement reveals whether that behavior is producing the results you intend. Without systematic tracking, you operate on assumptions rather than evidence. Movement IX, the intelligence system that never sleeps. What you do not track, you cannot manage. What you cannot manage, you cannot improve. What you cannot improve condemns you to repeat the same patterns indefinitely. The man who measures his performance with precision gains intelligence that separates him from the masses who operate on feeling rather than fact. This is not about creating bureaucracy in your personal life. This is about developing the intelligence systems that allow you to see patterns invisible to casual observation, to identify leverage points that multiply your efforts, and to make adjustments based on evidence rather than emotion. Andrew Carnegie's rise from poverty to industrial dominance was built on measurement systems that revealed opportunities others missed. He tracked not just his own performance, but the performance of every system in his organization. His daily reviews were not merely record-keeping, they were strategic intelligence gathering that informed every major decision. Carnegie measured input activities. How many hours were spent on high-value tasks versus maintenance activities? He measured output results. What specific advances were made toward strategic objectives each day? He measured efficiency ratios. What return was generated per unit of time, energy, and resources invested? Most importantly, he measured patterns over time. Which approaches consistently produced superior results? Which circumstances correlated with peak performance? Which environmental factors supported or hindered progress? This intelligence allowed him to systematically improve his systems rather than hoping for accidental improvements. Your measurement system should track 4 categories of data. First, input metrics. How many hours of focused work did you complete on your definite chief aim? How many of your planned actions were executed before 5 p.m.? How many days did you complete your mirror ritual without compromise? Second, output metrics. What specific, measurable progress was made toward your chief aim this week? How many systems did you create or improve? What evidence can you point to that demonstrates forward movement? Third, efficiency metrics. What was your return on invested time this week? Which activities produced the highest value per hour? Which activities should be eliminated, delegated, or systematized? Fourth, pattern metrics. Under what conditions do you perform at your highest level? What environmental factors correlate with your best work? What personal practices most reliably elevate your performance? Record these measurements in a simple daily log, 3 to 5 lines maximum. Review weekly for patterns. Adjust monthly based on evidence. The man who measures precisely gains the intelligence to improve systematically. Affirm with certainty, I speak law into my day and collect proof before noon. Each day I meet the law. Each day I act in ownership. My measurements reveal truth. My adjustments multiply power. Measurement provides intelligence, but intelligence without implementation remains academic. The final law of consistency transforms knowledge into irreversible action. Movement X. The bridge-burning ceremony commitment with escape routes is not commitment, it is sophisticated procrastination. The man who keeps options open keeps his power divided. True consistency is born only when the possibility of abandonment is eliminated through deliberate action that makes retreat more costly than advancement. This is the most advanced principle of self-command. You must engineer consequences that make your word irreversible. Not because you distrust your intentions, but because you understand that intentions without consequences remain vulnerable to the fluctuations of mood, energy, and circumstance. When Hernán Cortés landed on the shores of Mexico, he ordered his ships burned. This was not recklessness, it was strategic psychology. His men could no longer dream of retreat because retreat was impossible. With escape eliminated, their only choice was to find a way forward. That impossible situation demanded impossible performance, and impossible performance made conquest inevitable. You must apply this principle to your own consistency. Identify the primary escape route you use when discipline becomes difficult. This might be rationalization. I'll start again on Monday. It might be distraction. Reaching for your phone when focused work becomes uncomfortable. It might be social, surrounding yourself with people who enable your inconsistencies rather than challenging your commitment. Whatever your preferred escape route, you must close it permanently through public action that makes retreat embarrassing and advancement inevitable. This is not about creating pressure, it is about creating clarity. When your options are reduced to success or public failure, your mind stops seeking alternatives and starts solving problems. Make your definite chief aim public. Share it with your mastermind alliance, your professional network, your family. Create witnesses to your intention. Schedule regular progress reports to these witnesses. Make your commitment so visible that abandoning it requires explaining your failure to people whose opinion matters to you. Invest significant resources in your success. Prepay for services that support your aim. Purchase equipment that serves your goals. Hire professionals who will hold you accountable. The man who has invested deeply in his success finds motivation that transcends mood. Create systems that make consistency more convenient than inconsistency. If your aim requires morning discipline, prepare everything the night before so that waking up and beginning requires no decisions. If your aim requires focused work, eliminate all distractions from your workspace so that focus becomes the default state. Command yourself with these words, I decide once, and reinforce daily. I will not wait for courage. I move and courage meets me. I burn the bridges to my former self and walk forward into my intended identity. The bridge is burning behind you. The path ahead is clear. What remains is the daily ritual that transforms intention into identity, effort into ownership, consistency into character. The foundation is set. The systems are operating. The measurements are revealing patterns of progress. Now comes the transformation from practitioner to master, the phase where consistent action becomes effortless expression of your reconstructed identity. You have proven to yourself that you can maintain discipline for days, for weeks, The mirror lines have rewired your morning consciousness. The daily minimums have accumulated into measurable progress. The environmental changes have made excellence more automatic. What began as forced behavior is becoming natural character, but mastery requires more than maintaining good habits. Mastery requires the ability to generate results that compound, to create value that multiplies, to build systems that work without your constant attention. This is the difference between the disciplined employee and the successful owner. One maintains performance, the other generates increasing returns. Movement XI, the multiplication factor. Consistency alone is not enough. Consistent mediocrity produces mediocre results reliably. Consistent effort applied to the wrong activities produces reliable disappointment. The advanced practitioner must evolve beyond consistency to multiplication, the systematic application of effort that compounds rather than merely accumulates. This law separates the diligent from the dominant. Your actions must be designed not just to maintain progress, but to accelerate it. Every day should leave you better positioned for tomorrow's success. Every week should create capabilities that exceed the previous week's capacities. Every month should demonstrate geometric rather than arithmetic improvement. Henry Ford exemplified this principle when he revolutionized automobile manufacturing. His early efforts were consistent but not multiplicative. Each car required the same amount of time and effort to produce as the previous one. But when he implemented the assembly line system, his consistency began to compound. Each day of consistent application to the system made the next day's production more efficient. Each improvement to the process multiplied the value of all future efforts. Ford understood that the man who builds systems thinks differently than the man who builds products. The product builder focuses on completing today's work. The system builder focuses on making tomorrow's work more effective. One produces linear results. The other produces exponential returns. Your daily minimum work blocks must evolve beyond task completion to system construction. Ask not just, what can I complete today? But what can I create today that will make next week's work more powerful? Focus not just on producing output, but on building capabilities that multiply your future output. Every week, identify one bottleneck in your process and engineer a solution that permanently eliminates it. Every month, create one systematic improvement that increases your productive capacity. Every quarter, design one multiplication factor that allows you to generate more results with the same time investment. The multiplication mindset operates on this principle: time spent. Building systems is never wasted, while time spent on tasks that could be systematized is always limited. The man who systematizes his routine work liberates his creative energy for strategic thinking. The man who automates his repetitive processes gains time to focus on activities that only he can perform. Declare with conviction, I build systems that outwork my hours. Every day creates capabilities that serve every future day. My consistency compounds through intelligent design rather than brute repetition. Multiplication thinking transforms good work into great results, but only when applied with strategic focus rather than scattered effort. Movement 12, the focus funnel. The enemy of excellence is not failure, it is distraction. The man who pursues many goals simultaneously achieves none with distinction. The man who focuses his multiplied efforts on his single most important objective becomes unstoppable in that domain. This is the advanced law of strategic consistency. You must ruthlessly eliminate good opportunities to make space for great ones. Your increasing capabilities must be concentrated rather than distributed. Your systematic improvements must serve your definite chief aim rather than your general preferences. This principle challenges the modern mythology that celebrates busyness and multitasking. The successful man is not the one who does the most things. He is the one who does the right things with such consistency and focus that his results in those areas become extraordinary. Andrew Carnegie demonstrated this law when he concentrated his efforts on steel production rather than diversifying across multiple industries. He could have applied his business acumen to railroads, oil, textiles, or banking, and likely would have succeeded in all of them. But by focusing his multiplied efforts exclusively on steel, he didn't just succeed, he dominated. He became the undisputed master of his chosen field. Carnegie's focus was not narrow-mindedness, it was strategic intelligence. He understood that the man who applies superior systems to one objective will achieve more than the man who applies average systems to many objectives. Concentration of force has always been the principle that separates victory from mere survival. Your consistency systems must now be focused through a strategic filter. Every daily minimum, every systematic improvement, every environmental modification must directly serve your definite chief aim. Activities that do not contribute to that aim, regardless of how well you perform them, must be eliminated or delegated. Conduct a focus audit of your current activities. List everything you do regularly: work tasks, personal routines, social commitments, learning activities. For each item, ask, does this directly advance my definite chief aim? Does this build capabilities that multiply my progress toward that aim? Does this create results that compound in service of that objective? Activities that cannot answer yes to at least one of these questions must be eliminated, regardless of how well you perform them or how much you enjoy them. This is not sacrifice, this is strategic intelligence. The man who does fewer things with greater focus achieves more than the man who does many things with divided attention. Your multiplication systems must be redesigned to serve your strategic focus. Your environmental design must optimize for performance in your chosen domain. Your mastermind alliance must consist of individuals who can elevate your thinking and performance, specifically in relation to your chief aim. Affirm with power, I focus my multiplied efforts on my single most important objective. I eliminate good opportunities to make space for great ones. My consistency serves my strategy. My strategy serves my dominion. Focus concentrates your multiplied efforts, but only systematic experimentation ensures that your focused efforts are optimally designed for maximum results. Movement 13. The laboratory of continuous improvement excellence is not a destination. It is a systematic process of intelligent experimentation. The master does not simply repeat what works. He continuously tests, measures, and refines his approach to discover what works better. His consistency includes the consistency of improvement. This is the laboratory mindset. Treat every week as an experiment, every month as a research project, every quarter as a scientific investigation into the optimal methods for achieving your definite chief aim. The man who stops improving his methods stops advancing toward mastery, even if he maintains perfect consistency in applying inferior techniques. Thomas Edison embodied this principle in his approach to invention. His laboratory was not just a workplace, it was a systematic testing environment designed to accelerate discovery through organized experimentation. He didn't just work consistently, he consistently improved his methods of working. Edison's genius was not in any single insight, but in his systematic approach to generating insights. He tested multiple approaches simultaneously. He measured results precisely. He modified variables systematically. He documented everything so that failed experiments contributed intelligence to successful ones. His consistency was not mechanical repetition, it was systematic evolution. You must apply this experimental mindset to your own consistency systems. Your mirror ritual, your daily minimums, your environmental design, your measurement systems, all of these should be treated as hypotheses to be tested rather than permanent structures to be maintained unchanged. Every month, identify one element of your consistency system to optimize through systematic testing. This might be the timing of your mirror ritual. Does morning or evening produce better results? It might be the structure of your daily minimums. Do single long blocks or multiple short blocks generate more progress? It might be your environmental design, which modifications to your workspace increase your focus capacity. Design each experiment with scientific rigor. Change only one variable at a time so you can isolate the effects of that change. Measure results quantitatively rather than relying on subjective impressions. Run each experiment for at least 30 days to account for adaptation effects and temporary variations. Document your experimental results in your measurement system. What worked better than your previous approach? What produced no improvement? What actually decreased your performance? Use this intelligence to continuously refine your methods rather than abandoning them when they encounter temporary obstacles. The experimental mindset prevents stagnation while preserving consistency. You maintain your daily practices while continuously improving their effectiveness. You preserve the discipline of routine while evolving the intelligence of your approach. Command yourself, I experiment systematically to optimize continuously. My consistency includes the consistency of improvement. I test, measure, and refine my methods to maximize my results. Systematic experimentation optimizes your methods, but true mastery requires the development of instincts that transcend conscious technique. Movement XIV. The intuitive master, the highest level of consistency, transcends conscious effort. The master does not force discipline. Discipline flows naturally from his transformed identity. He does not struggle to maintain focus. Focus is his default state. He does not work to generate results. Results are the natural expression of his character. This is the paradox of mastery. The man who has practiced conscious consistency long enough eventually develops unconscious competence. His disciplined choices become automatic responses. His systematic thinking becomes intuitive wisdom. His forced behaviors become effortless expressions of his reconstructed nature. But this transformation is not accidental. It is the predictable result of consistent application of correct principles over sufficient time. The man who speaks the mirror lines daily for 6 months no longer needs to remember to think powerfully. Powerful thinking becomes his natural mental state. The man who executes daily minimums without compromise for a year no longer needs to force himself to work. Productive work becomes his natural response to available time. This is why the 306090 transformation protocol is designed as an island. The first 30 days establish the habit through conscious repetition. The second 30 days refine the system through systematic improvement. The final 30 days internalize the practices until they become aspects of character rather than behaviors requiring effort. Carnegie, Ford, Edison, and Lincoln all demonstrated this principle. Their extraordinary achievements were not the result of extraordinary effort applied inconsistently. They were the result of ordinary principles applied so consistently that the principles became instincts, the instincts became character, and the character produced extraordinary results automatically. You are approaching this level of development if you notice these indicators. You no longer debate with yourself about performing your daily minimums, you simply perform them. You automatically evaluate new opportunities through the filter of your definite chief aim without conscious effort. You instinctively organize your environment and schedule to support your most important work. You naturally speak and think in language that reinforces your intended identity. When these indicators appear, you have crossed the threshold from practitioner to master. Your consistency no longer requires maintenance, it generates momentum. Your discipline no longer demands energy, it produces energy. Your systems no longer need your attention, they operate automatically while creating space for higher level strategic thinking. But reaching this level does not mean the work is finished. It means the work has evolved from building consistency to leveraging mastery for increasingly significant objectives. Affirm with quiet authority, I have become the man my aim required. My discipline flows naturally from my transformed identity. My consistency generates results that multiply without forced effort. Mastery expresses itself naturally, but it must be directed toward objectives worthy of the power it generates. Movement, XV, the stewardship of power. With great consistency comes great responsibility. The man who has mastered the ability to generate reliable results faces a choice. Will he use this power for personal comfort or for significant contribution? Will he apply his capabilities to small objectives or to challenges that serve something larger than himself? This is the final test of true mastery. Not whether you can maintain discipline, but whether you can direct disciplined effort toward objectives that matter beyond your immediate self-interest. The master understands that power unused diminishes, power misused corrupts, but power applied to worthy purposes multiplies indefinitely. Lincoln exemplified this principle when he applied his developed capabilities not to personal enrichment but to national preservation. His consistency in studying law, his discipline in developing persuasive speaking, his systematic approach to political strategy, all of these personal capabilities were ultimately directed toward objectives that served millions of people across generations. Lincoln could have used his abilities to build personal wealth or local influence. Instead, he applied them to challenges that demanded everything he had developed and more. The result was not just personal success, but historical significance that continues to influence the world more than a century later. Your consistency systems have given you capabilities that most people never develop. Your ability to maintain focus, to execute daily minimums without compromise, to measure and improve systematically, to multiply your efforts through intelligent system design, these are not merely personal advantages. They are tools that can be applied to objectives that create value for others. The question you now face is not whether you can maintain your discipline, but how you will direct it. What problems exist in your field, your industry, your community that could be solved through the consistent application of your developed capabilities? What opportunities exist to create value that extends beyond your personal benefit? The master's definite chief aim evolves from, what can I achieve for myself, to, what can I accomplish that serves the highest good while fulfilling my personal objectives? This is not altruism, this is strategic intelligence. The man who creates value for others positions himself to receive increasing returns on his efforts. Your systematic approach to consistency can be applied to building organizations that operate with the same precision you have developed personally. Your environmental design principles can be used to create conditions that elevate others' performance. Your measurement and improvement methods can be scaled to optimize processes that serve thousands rather than just yourself. This expansion of scope does not dilute your focus, it multiplies your impact. The same principles that transformed your personal discipline can transform entire systems when applied with the same consistency and intelligence. Declare with purpose. I direct my disciplined capabilities toward objectives that serve the highest good. My consistency creates value that extends beyond personal benefit. My mastery becomes stewardship of power applied to worthy purposes. The stewardship of mastery requires not just personal discipline, but the development of others who can multiply your impact through aligned effort. Movement 60I, the multiplication of masters. The ultimate expression of consistency mastery is not individual achievement, but the development of systems and people who can generate excellent results independent of your personal attention. The true master builds not just his own capabilities, but organizational capabilities that multiply his impact exponentially. This is the final law of systematic consistency. Your personal discipline must evolve into institutional discipline. Your individual systems must become organizational systems. Your personal mastery must become a factory for developing mastery in others. The man who can only perform excellence cannot scale his impact. The man who can teach others to perform excellence builds empires that outlast his personal efforts. Andrew Carnegie understood this principle when he developed his system for training superintendents. He didn't just run steel operations efficiently, he created a systematic method for developing men who could run steel operations as efficiently as he could. His consistency became scalable because he institutionalized the principles that made him consistent. Carnegie's lieutenants were not merely talented individuals. They were systematically developed masters who applied Carnegie's principles with the same precision he applied them personally. This allowed Carnegie to expand his operations far beyond the limits of his personal attention while maintaining the quality standards that defined his competitive advantage. You must now consider how your consistency systems can be scaled beyond your individual application. What aspects of your daily routines could be taught to others? What elements of your environmental design could be implemented in organizational settings? What measurement and improvement methods could be applied to team performance? The principles you have mastered, definite chief aims, daily minimums, systematic measurement, environmental design, continuous improvement, are not limited to personal application. They can be adapted to develop consistency in teams, organizations, and entire industries. Your role evolves from practitioner to architect of systems that develop other practitioners. Your focus expands from achieving your personal objectives to building capabilities that achieve objectives beyond what you could accomplish alone. Your consistency becomes a force that generates consistency in others. This multiplication occurs through systematic teaching rather than casual example. Document your methods, create training materials, develop protocols that others can follow to achieve similar results. Build measurement systems that track the development of consistency capabilities in others. The master teacher creates conditions where students develop mastery rather than dependence. He builds systems that produce independent excellence rather than impressive personal performance. He measures his success not by his individual achievements, but by the achievements his systems generate in others. Your consistency journey that began with personal discipline now culminates in systematic influence that extends far beyond your individual efforts. The habits that transformed your personal results become institutional practices that transform organizational results. Affirm with vision, my personal mastery becomes institutional capability. My individual consistency becomes organizational excellence. I build systems that develop masters rather than dependents. The multiplication of masters creates legacy that extends beyond individual achievement to generational impact. Closing movement, the legacy of law. You began this journey as a student of consistency. You have become an architect of systematic excellence. What started as personal discipline has evolved into institutional capability. The habits that transformed your individual results now possess the power to transform entire organizations, communities, industries. But the greatest transformation is not in your external results, it is in your identity. You are no longer the man who hopes for consistency. You are the man who commands it. You are no longer the person who struggles with discipline. You are the person who generates discipline naturally. You are no longer someone who achieves results through effort. You are someone who produces results through systematic excellence that requires no struggle. The mirror lines you have spoken thousands of times have rebuilt your internal programming. The daily minimums you have executed without compromise have developed capabilities you never possessed before. The systems you have created and refined operate automatically while producing results that compound daily. The measurements you have maintained reveal patterns that give you intelligence advantages over those who operate on assumption rather than evidence. You have proven to yourself the fundamental truth that underlies all achievement. Consistency is not a talent some people possess and others lack. It is a systematic capability that can be developed by anyone willing to apply correct principles with sufficient persistence. You have demonstrated that transformation is not accidental. It is engineered through intelligent application of universal laws. The habits that seemed difficult in the beginning now operate effortlessly. The disciplines that required conscious effort now flow naturally from your reconstructed character. The systems that demanded your attention now function automatically while creating space for higher-level strategic thinking. You have become living proof that human nature can be systematically upgraded through consistent application of proven principles. More importantly, you have developed the capability to create similar transformations in others. Your personal journey from struggling with consistency to mastering systematic excellence has equipped you with knowledge, methods, and credibility that can guide others through their own transformations. Your individual success has become a platform for multiplied impact. I am the architect of systematic excellence. I have transformed struggle into flow, effort into ease, discipline into character. My consistency creates results that compound without struggle. My systems operate automatically while generating increasing returns. My capabilities multiply through intelligent design rather than brute force. I have proven that consistency is law. not luck. I have demonstrated that excellence is systematic, not accidental. I have shown that transformation is engineered, not hoped for. My personal mastery has become a foundation for developing mastery in others. This is my declaration, witnessed by my transformed results, sealed by my proven capabilities. I will continue to apply these principles not just to maintain my achievements, but to expand them. I will use my developed consistency not just for personal benefit, but for creating value that serves the highest good. I will leverage my systematic capabilities not just to achieve my individual objectives, but to build institutions that generate excellence beyond what any individual could produce alone. The man who masters consistency masters life itself. The man who can generate reliable results in one area can generate reliable results in any area. The man who has systematically transformed his own character possesses the intelligence and credibility to guide the transformation of others. You are no longer becoming consistent. You are consistency personified. You are no longer developing discipline. You are discipline expressed through human character. You are no longer building systems. You are a system that builds excellence wherever it is applied. Your next chapter does not require new principles. It requires expanded application of the principles you have mastered. Your future success does not depend on learning new methods. It depends on applying proven methods to increasingly significant objectives. Your continued growth does not require different capabilities. It requires directing current capabilities toward challenges worthy of the power you have developed. The laws you have obeyed have made you free. The discipline you have cultivated has given you dominion. The consistency you have mastered has made you unstoppable in any domain you choose to enter. The systems you have built operate beyond the limitations of mood, circumstance, or external conditions. Move forward now with the quiet confidence of proven capability. Apply your systematic excellence to objectives that create lasting value. Use your developed consistency to build institutions that multiply your impact. Direct your mastered discipline toward purposes that serve something greater than yourself while fulfilling your highest personal aspirations. The world does not need more people who hope for consistency. It needs more people who demonstrate systematic excellence. It does not need more individuals who struggle with discipline. It needs more individuals who generate discipline naturally and teach others to do the same. It does not need more dreamers of transformation. It needs more architects of systematic change who build lasting results through intelligent application of proven principles. You have become such a person. Now use what you have become to build what the world needs. Your consistency is no longer personal development, it is social contribution. Your discipline is no longer individual achievement, it is institutional capability. Your systematic excellence is no longer private success, it is public service that creates value, extending far beyond your personal benefit. The laws are eternal, the principles are proven, the methods are documented. The results are guaranteed for those who apply them with sufficient persistence and intelligence. You have proven this through your own transformation. Now help others prove it through theirs. Move first. Stand as sent. Finish what you start. Build systems that outlast your personal efforts. Create consistency that generates consistency in others. Leave a legacy of systematic excellence that continues to produce results long after your individual contribution has ended. The master's work is never finished, but it always begins the same way, with the decision to apply proven principles consistently until the principles become character. The character produces results, and the results create capabilities that serve purposes greater than those that originally motivated the journey. Your transformation is complete. Your multiplication has begun. Your legacy awaits your continued action. Decide once, enforce daily. The world is waiting for the excellence only you can build.